What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you stopping by for the first time, do me a real quick favor. See that red subscribe button down below? Go ahead and push that. Show your support for the channel. Those of you stopping by that have been here before, welcome back to TLTG Reviews, my friends. Glad you came to see me. So, third and final installment for this year's spring list, 2020. This is my designer fragrances. Over $30. Stay tuned. So, top 10 spring fragrances, the designer list, $31 and up. So, I do have one honorable mention because I don't really get in the mood for a lot of sweet fragrances once the spring rolls around. But in the event that I do want one, the one that I'm really looking to grab this spring is going to be from Guerlain. This is the original L'Homme Ideal. This one's a bit on the sweet side for sure. Oh, but it smells so good with that creamy almond. I only wore it twice this fall. I did not wear it in the winter, but it's time to bust out again for the spring. Like I said, in the event that I want to wear something a little on the sweeter side, this is really going to be it. Now, there are a few fragrances in this list that have sweetness to them, but not this type of sweetness. I find this one's very sweet, more for those cooler days. And I'll still have several cool days ahead of me. So in those days, it'll be Guerlain L'Homme Ideal, the Eau de Toilette. So starting off at number 10 is one that you might not be expecting. It's been around for a long time. I did wear it twice during the summer of last year. It got neglected and lost in the shuffle for the fall. Not really one that you would want to wear in the spring, but I'll tell you what, I mean for the winter, but for the spring, I definitely plan on wearing this a bit more. It's great for work. It's from Bulgari. It's blue. I love that about it. It's clear, transparent through. Very powdery tuberose. The tobacco blossom just smells so good in this one. It's very floral. It's got a powdery creaminess to it, a very clean linen type of scent. Decent performer, 7-hour fragrance on my skin. Pretty heavy projection early on. God, it just smells so good. It smells so fresh, so powdery, lightly floral. Great for what, I wear a suit a lot. Oxfords when not wearing the suit, and just, this is perfect for that type of stuff. I'm going to be busting this one out a lot on, relatively warm spring days this year. This is going to be great for it. This is one you can still get for a decent price. I believe in the high 30s range online. It's been around for a long time. It's been reformulated, but it's still a really good fragrance. That's Bulgari Blue. Moving into number 9, it's actually my scent of the day today. One that as the day progresses, I have tested it twice before, but this is the first full wearing. And I'm starting to get on the side of I'm gonna need a full bottle. I'm really digging it. I'm liking the dry down as the day goes on. And gonna be testing it out later in the week at work as well to see if I can get any reactions on Yves Saint Laurent Y Eau de Parfum. This is a decant that I won from Michael Dinsmore, Making Sense. I won this in one of his raffles on Facebook. And this is just doing it for me. Blue fragrance, mass appealing, but it's a great mass appealing fragrance, dumb reach type stuff. I really think I'm gonna, put a pretty solid dent in this decant here over the next 2 weeks, and I'll have to go ahead and get myself a full bottle. I think this is one that's great for this time of year where it's not extremely just scorching hot just yet, and you're gonna have some cooler, milder days still. I think Y Eau de Parfum is gonna work out great for that. I may do a full review in the coming week on this one. And at the number 9 spot, Yves Saint Laurent Y Eau de Parfum. Coming in at the number 8 spot, another one that's relatively new to the collection. I've only worn it twice so far. The way I like to look at it is it's kind of a spicy Invictus, if you will. It's from Lazaro. It's Wanted. Haven't put a whole lot of a dent in it just yet, but I will because I love the way this one smells. I love Invictus. I love spicy fragrances. Spicy Invictus. Of course I'm going to like Lazaro Wanted. Performs very, very well. Oh, and like I said, that's an Invictus Sweet Aquatic with some spices. Is what it reminds me of. It's what it smells like in the opening. The dry down is quite spicy on my skin, which I absolutely love. And who doesn't love that revolver style with the bullet ends? That just looks cool. Just a great bottle design. Lazaro did a great job with this. One that I don't see that many people talking about as much anymore. When it first came out, it had the hype train going behind it, but I think it still warrants wearing quite often for the spring, because this might be a little much for the summer during hot days, but for the spring, this is a stud in my opinion, and one that I'm going to be busting out, and that's Zaharoff Wanted. Moving into number 7 is one that I don't have a full bottle of yet. I do have a 20 ml travel size that I picked up last year. I've only worn it about 3 times. I did do a full review last year on it. If you'd like, I'll put that video right there if you want to check that out. So what are we talking about? From Viktor and Rolf, Spice Bomb Fresh. I have put a little bit of a dent in it. This is a 20 ml. And the way they designed this makes absolutely no sense, because this is a cap. There is no need for the pin, but it is a nice touch, you know. And I haven't checked to see if it's confirmed that it's been discontinued. I've seen a few people say it is. I don't know that to be fact, because I haven't really done my research on it. But it's kind of sad if so, because I know this is kind of polarizing. It's love-hate. Some people say, oh, it's just a watered-down version of Spice Bomb. But I find with the added grapefruit and salt, it really freshens this thing up, and it still gets pretty solid performance. I get every bit of 7 to 8 hours with this one, and it projects pretty heavy for the first hour and a half, 2 hours. It's a very good fragrance. I love the way this one smells, and it's one that I do need to get my hands on. If it is discontinued, I need to get my hands on a bottle sooner rather than later before the prices creep up. But from what I see, they're still readily available all over the internet. Prices aren't crazy. They're what you would expect for a Viktor and Rolf Spice Bomb fragrance. But one that I strongly suggest for the spring, this is going to be great if you're having an itch for some Spice Bomb this spring. Grab Spice Bomb Fresh. It'll work great for it. Moving into number 6. So when you're feeling put together, you're going to dress it up a little bit. This is a really good fragrance for that. It's from Chanel. Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Projection's not its strong suit, but longevity sure is on my skin anyways. And it smells amazing. You do get a lot of lemon zest for a few hours before it starts to fade, and then it's some creamy sandalwood and cedar, a little bit of isoe super, and it just works. It's lemony woods is really what it smells like, and it's a very good fragrance. God, it's so good. Phenomenal atomizers. Gotta love the magnetic cap. Price is not on its side. Retail 100 ml like this is $150. Look for coupon codes. It's hard to find these discounted. If you can find a good deal on it, that's not an extremely good deal. Extremely good deal, it's fake. 70 bucks, it's fake. But if you can find one in the $100 to $130 range, that's actually a good price on these for 100 ml. And it's a great fragrance. It's fantastic. In my opinion, it is the best Bleu de Chanel in the line. I do enjoy the Eau de Parfum, but that can't hold a candle to this in my opinion. This one's just so rich and so full. I am a sucker for a Parfum concentration because they're always more deep and bold. And this is no exception. Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Moving into number 5, we're sticking with a Parfum concentration. This is another one. It's my favorite from the line. It's my favorite flanker. It's very deep. It made me get a new appreciation for vetiver style fragrances because I need a good clean vetiver to enjoy heavy vetiver, and this is all of that for sure. Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum 2017. Performance, monster, and beast. Longevity is outrageous, and the projection is very heavy for several hours. Another one, cheap price, not this one. You're spending over $100 anytime and every time you find it. This was a tester bottle that I found, and I believe I paid $110 to $120 range, something like that. But I'll tell you what, it's worth it. It really is. This fragrance is amazing. It's incredible. It's very high class. It's very elegant. It's very masculine and mature. Immature little boys need not apply, in my opinion, because this is a man's fragrance right here. This is beautiful. It can get you some compliments for the most part, but it's not one that's really mass appealing. This is a gentleman's fragrance. This is very modern. Performance is off the charts. It's priced accordingly because for what you're getting, you could see why it would cost as much as it does. It's not that readily available, so when you find a bottle, if you think it's going to be for you, get your hands on a decan if you can. If not, I'm not going to advise you blind buy this one because it might not be for everybody. I did blind buy it, but I'll tell you what, it worked out great because I absolutely love this. This is one of my 10 favorite fragrances in my collection, and that's Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum, the 2017 formulation. Moving into number 4. This may shock a few of you that have been watching the channel for a long time. I say long time, channel's not even close to a year old yet, but for several months. A lot of you know I'm a big fan of the Invictus line, and you're probably going to be surprised why I chose this one for spring. Invictus Legend. This is a tester bottle, that's why it says Invictus Legend on the front. Get it back here, the light will be able to shine a little bit. Oh, the lighting's kind of weird, but you can see the ring light. But this one's a bit more herbal. The bay leaf is very heightened, and it's a little saltier. It's more marine than the rest. And it smells different enough. You smell the Invictus DNA, but this has its own twist on the Invictus DNA. This is the most unique one within the Invictus line. It kind of stands tall on its own, and I think this one's great for spring. The other ones, aside from the Intense, Aqua and the Original, they're great for spring as well. They're really, really great for summer. I think this one, when you need that extra herbal kick, this is going to be the one out the line for the springtime. Performance, it is far from a slouch. As you know with Invictus fragrances, this thing's a monster. This probably performs better, really and truly, than the Original does off of my skin. Hard to beat. Not everybody really talks about it much since it came out. It had its run, it had its hype, it had its reviews, and then the love kind of died off for it. But I'll tell you what, I do enjoy it. It's not one that I wanted to wear in the cold, but now that springtime's rolling around, this is going to be my Invictus of choice when I'm in the mood for some Invictus. And it might be yours too if you have a bottle, because you already know what I'm talking about. If you bought a bottle, you like it too. And that's Invictus Legend from Paco Rabanne. Moving into number 3. Okay, so some of you may be shocked that this is the Dior Homme that I chose, because Eau is a great choice for when it starts to warm up. But I think there's enough cool days, and with my situation where, like I said, once again, I wear a lot of suit and ties, the original Dior Homme, iris-based Dior Homme, works great for me in the spring. It still performs very well. It's not as sweet as the Intense. It still has a little bit of sweetness, but it's very well put together. It's perfect in formal situations and business professional, business formal, business casual. This just works. And it's one that I'm going to be spraying from time to time. When I'm in the mood for iris, this is going to be probably the first fragrance that I think of this spring, because it's just a great smell. The performance is great. As long as it's not too hot, it's not going to get cloying. 60s on to the low 80s, this is totally fine, and it's going to work great for me this spring, and it might work great for you in similar situations. And that's the original Dior Homme. Now, this is kind of 1A and 1B with Dior Homme for this spring, because I'm a firm believer in this being a stud in the spring to wear to work. This is a great office fragrance, as it's been dubbed by many people. It's from Prada. It's the original L'Homme. I do have L'Homme Low, which is right above my finger. That's going to be my Prada L'Homme for the summer. So this one, I'm not really going to be pulling it out when it's scorching, because it gets scorching in South Texas. When we're clipping over, 95, 100, 105, 110, a little too powerful for that out in the heat. Granted, I'm in a climate-controlled environment. A little more than half my day. When I got to go outside and it's really hot out there, this isn't the one. But in the spring, as with Dior Homme, when I'm in the mood for some iris, some chocolatey iris, a little bit sweeter iris, Dior Homme. A little bit smoother, soapier, clean, it's going to be Prada L'Homme. Because this one's such a good fragrance. This fragrance just makes me happy when I smell it. It always makes lists for people when the weather warms up, because it's great for warmer weather, and it's great for the office. It's going to be great this spring. I know I said great a bunch of times, because that's a good way to sum this fragrance up. Prada L'Homme for spring is great. And then finally, at the number 1 spot, this may surprise some of you that it's number 1. Because in the right situation, you might be able to find it for under 30. I didn't find it for under 30. I paid a little over it. So it made the designer over 30 list instead of the cheapie list. And I bought a tester at that. It's one that because of Eau Sauvage Parfum, I started finding a love for vetiver more, and this is a heavy vetiver fragrance. It's a 2019 release from Calvin Klein. It's Eternity Eau de Parfum. Can you believe this is my number one? That's right. I love it. I dig it. It's awesome. This is very well put together. This fits my profession very, very well. Masculine, mature, green, and herbal. This screams Ross in the springtime. It just does. I don't know if everybody's going to agree with me with this being number one, but this is my number one this year. It jumped in. I didn't see this coming when I bought it either because I blind bought it. I had high expectations and it exceeded them because I heard a lot of good things about it. Because I wasn't the biggest fan of the original, even though the original is very nostalgic for me. The original Eau de Toilette was one of my dad's favorite fragrances, God rest his soul. And that's what, when I look at the Eternity bottle, I immediately think of my dad, you know? So nostalgia's sake, said, nah, let me give it a try. And lo and behold, it's my number one designer fragrance for the spring. If you can believe it. This thing screams me and my situation in my profession, and it's number one this year for a reason. I do plan on pulling this out quite a bit. That's Calvin Klein Eternity Eau de Parfum. So, did some of these picks surprise you? When I sat down to do my list, I kind of surprised myself with it. And this is the ones I plan on reaching for this spring from the designer side of things. I've already reached for some of my cheapies, and some of my niche fragrances from those two lists already. And I'll be reaching for these as well. Prime example, why is my scent of the day today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. Like I said, what are you wearing this spring that cost over 30 bucks? You know, is some of these picks very surprising for you? Did you see a few of them coming? Do you agree? Do you disagree with some of them? It's all debatable. Let's talk about it down in the comments. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on some of these and you give them a spray now, you might just thank me later. Have a good one, guys.